On immigration, common sense is making a comeback, and the laughable open border, Soros-approved insanity we've seen for the past 9 months is under assault. After entering office, the Biden administration ended a policy known as Remain in Mexico, claiming it was inhumane to force asylum seekers to wait in Mexico for an immigration hearing in this country. The super liberals who ended this policy completely ignored the fact that the vast majority of these so-called asylum seekers were walking straight through a safe third country, Mexico, to get to the obvious better deal, United States. Yes, despite being a travel destination for millions of rich Americans every single year, the United States could not possibly condemn asylum seekers to Mexico City or Monterrey. No, they must be ushered into San Diego or Dallas. This is how liberals think. The ending of Remain in Mexico was fought in court by Republicans, and the Supreme Court landed the final blow that brought common sense back to immigration policy. It's going to be fun to watch the re-implementation of this. Here was pandering Joe Biden, the same man who fought harder than anyone in the U.S. Senate 15 years ago to pass the 2006 Secure Fence Act, now slamming common sense border policies before shredding them earlier this year.
I make no apologies for that. I make no apologies for ending programs that did not exist before Trump became president, that have an incredibly negative impact on the law, international law, as well as on human dignity.
The great irony to all this is the president isn't angry at all about this return to sensible legislation. And that's the point. The Biden White House has likely been begging for a reason to stop the mayhem at the southern border. Don't believe for a second that this administration truly wants to flood the voter rolls in this country with illegal migrants. Plainly put, these people are not the ideal liberal voter. It is not a solidly liberal bloc by any stretch. Democrats will get about 6 in 10 Latino voters. That's not nearly enough to justify the damage that open borders is doing to their agenda with the mainstream American public. It'll probably cost them in the next 2 elections. The real immigration story is a story of a White House that is beholden to a far-left agenda that it is afraid to fight. A White House that is likely relieved to have somebody else to blame, this time the Supreme Court, for the return to common sense. This is the second Trump-era border policy the Biden administration has gone back to implement. Title 42 has been getting plenty of usage by the Biden White House. You've heard about it. Title 42 allows the government to expel people based on the COVID pandemic, and this DHS has been doing that. As for Remain in Mexico, in a tweet, Biden once called it dangerous, inhumane, and goes against everything we stand for as a nation of immigrants. My administration will end it. That's from March of this year. Actually, looked like March of last year. An open border, evidently, is what this nation stands for. That's what this nation stands for. The amazing thing about being an American liberal is there is no boundary to the idiotic statements that you can espouse these days. As long as it sounds inclusive and virtuous, it will be said. It's not going to be long before the Democrat primaries spawn off phrases like, "This country was built on the belief that all Americans are entitled to equity of outcome." You're going to hear it. That'll be socialist AOC when she runs in 7 years. And the media will just smile and nod. Yeah, that is why America's here. That's why we have this country. Just listen to the insanity of the last primary season.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. Those who come seeking asylum, we should immediately have the capacity to absorb them, keep them safe until they can be heard.
A mother who pays a coyote to transport her child through their country of origin, through the entire country of Mexico. She has decided for that child to remain where they are is worse. But what does Donald Trump do? He says, go back to where you came from.
A coyote. A welcome mat to the entire world, courtesy the Democrat primaries. That's what we gave. Anybody who wants in deserves a court hearing. I don't care who you are. You get a court hearing. It's in 5 years. Hang out in Houston until we're ready for you. Can you even imagine? But again, do you think that these people really believe in this is a better question. We know what Biden believes in, saying anything that works, anything that gets him elected, while Hunter cuts the side deals and enriches the family. 9 months into Biden's presidency, this administration's unrealistic policies are catching up with them. A recent op-ed in the Wall Street Journal cites the central blunder of the Biden presidency has been surrendering to the left on issue after issue. Most of today's progressive policies are detached from how the world works, and that includes the reality of migration, of course. Of course. And this is why they're at least somewhat happy that things are getting back to normal, that the insanity can end, and they can say, it's the Supreme Court. We want to keep it open. We really do. But the Supreme Court won't let us. All those Trump picks, the worst. Encounters at our southern border have reached a 21-year high. You probably have heard that. In August, you had 86,000, up from, in a family unit, I should say, 86,000, the bottom number there, individuals in family unit. Look at it in 2020 versus 2021. That's the month of August. We have incentivized bringing kids into this country, which of course exacerbates human trafficking. You really think those are all family units? No. They're kids. The kids get used and then they get sent back down. They get used again, sent back down, used again. Lovely career for a 7-year-old. Unaccompanied children has soared to 18,847 in August. Unaccompanied. Look at the number in 2020 versus 2021. The bottom number again. Look at that increase. Just random kids being tossed over a 30-foot fence. Welcome to America. What a lovely policy. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has been caught on tape admitting to Border Protection agents that the situation is unsustainable. Yeah, even Obama has said that, so it must be true. And every recent poll taken on the issue shows that most Americans disapprove of Biden's handling of immigration. You'd have to be an idiot to approve of this, so I guess that makes sense. So now the Supreme Court has made a decision for this administration that you probably love as a normal, intelligent American. But the truth is the Biden team likely does as well. A decision that could help to breathe new life into an administration on life support, an administration that does everything wrong, giving the Biden White House a reason to ignore the far left that they are beholden to, just what they needed. But Biden's DHS may appeal the ruling if they get enough pressure from the far left, which they so fear. That could happen. Also, for the policy to resume, the Biden administration must also get Mexico's consent. Remember how hard Trump had to fight with Mexico to get this. He had to force it through economic threats. DHS claims that it engaged in a number of virtual and in-person discussions with the government of Mexico and continue to finalize the operational plans that will be required to quickly re-implement Remain in Mexico. Again, the Biden White House clearly does want this, or they would just not restart Remain in Mexico and blame Mexico for not being able to, right? They got an easy way out. If they really want to keep it insanity, just say Mexico won't do it. Mexico doesn't want to do it. Obviously, it's easier for them to just shoot people into the United States. It was hard as hell to get the deal in the first place. Biden officials say they're reopening tent courts at border crossings at Laredo and Brownsville, Texas, where asylum seekers would appear for hearings via video conference. Mexico's foreign ministry has expressed a number of concerns over this policy. Another senior Mexican official saying there is no decision at this point about the program's restart. We shall see.